Love lives here.
Welcome to Riverside Center for Spiritual Living. Today, we will be continuing our journey on our themes of mindfulness or mindful mavericks or mindfulness for mavericks. And that is part of the 2020 themes for the year, which is spiritual vision or 2020 spiritual vision. And as we prepare for this day, let's say our focus statement together, shall we? And when we say this together this morning, I want us to, one, have the mindful intention like we did last week, but today I also want us to use mindful speech. So as we say this together, I want you to fully feel the intent, fully feel the power of the word, and bring the word to life. Speak it out into the world, speak it aloud so that it is resonant in your homes and in the world. So here we go. We embolden people to live their highest potential through the transformative power of love. Oh, yes, we do. So today we are talking about mindful speech. At the beginning of the month, we've been talking about mindful mavericks all month long, but at the beginning of the month, we talked about breathing, right? And connecting with the breath, connecting with the one life. And we talked about mindfulness, and what mindfulness is, how we've been defining it, is our minds fully in the presence of the one, in full alignment with the one life, the one power, the one infinite eternal that is the allness, the fullness, and simply is the isness. And so that we are bringing our minds fully in that presence. And the way we bring our minds fully in that presence is we are also bring our minds fully into the present, the now moment. And then last week we talked about mindful intentions, that we set our intentions, what we bring our intention and attention to expands. And so we pose the question of, what if we mindfully set our intentions rather than just kind of haphazardly flopping around? What if we mindfully set our intentions for change? So then the next thing that we do with this mindfulness is we set our intentions, and now we mindfully speak the word, or we are mindful with our speech. So at the beginning of John 1:1, it says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, the Word was God, and that which God did not create was never ever created," right? God spoke its word upon the waters, and creation happened. That the word itself is the word of God. It is synonymous with the divine. It is synonymous with the creator. It is synonymous with source. Word is synonymous with that. So when the word is spoken, it is an activity, it is an action of creation, that it is creating, that it is bringing forth, that is breathing life into that which it is creating. So we know that all of creation then is the word of God made manifest. It is the word of God demonstrated. It is the emanation and impartation and divine manifestation of the word. That the word itself is placed into the law, into that creative medium that knows what to do and how to do it and what to create, or knows how to create. And so the word is planted into that, or is set into that law, released into that law, and then formation happens, creation happens. Yes. And so when we are intentionally aligned with our word, when we are mindful with our speech, when we are intentionally aligned with our word, then we become the co-creators of our experience. We become the co-creators of our life. And we know that this is the way the creative process works, as we teach it here at Centers for Spiritual Living. We are called to be mindful and to be intentional about the word that we speak, the ideas that we plant, the thoughts that we plant into mind, the word that we give power to, the word that we give life to, the word that we give breath to. We are called to be mindful and intentional with that. And we're called to be mindful and intentional about the feeling behind that, because it is the feeling behind the word that amplifies the word itself. So if we are wanting to experience something different in our lives, our personal lives, we have the opportunity to set our intention and then speak our word with conviction, with faith, with confidence. And it is done unto us as we believe. So the degree to that we believe our word, the degree that we are convicted of our word, that we are confident in our word, is the degree that we then begin to see things shift and change in our individual lives. But this is also true in the larger society, and this is what we have the opportunity as a beloved community of Centers for Spiritual Living, as Riverside Center for Spiritual Living. We have the opportunity to speak our word into creation, to effect change, to follow and to come into alignment with the high idea, the vision, the high idea that we have here at Centers for Spiritual Living of a world that works for everyone and for all of creation. And so we speak our word, we speak out into the community, we speak out and draw attention to the inequities and the injustices. This is one way that we can use our word to effect change. We speak out and recognize and see the injustice, acknowledge the injustice, acknowledge the inequities that are occurring in the world, acknowledge the situation that is present in the world. We acknowledge it, we see it, we speak to it, we use our voices to draw attention to it, to draw awareness to it, because what we are not willing to face, we cannot fix. So we have the opportunity to mindfully use our speech to draw attention to a situation, to draw our attention to the inequities and injustices, and bring attention there mindfully, so that we can then see it and face it as a larger community. We can see it and face it within ourselves. We can see it and face it in our own spiritual community, and we can see it and face it in the larger community. Because once we acknowledge the presence of it, once we see that it's there, and we are able to amplify and share and draw attention and bring attention and intention to the problem or to the situation, then we also then have the opportunity and the responsibility, responsibility to then speak to the higher vision, to then speak to what it is that we are wanting to see, to then speak to the vision, the high idea of what is possible. So in doing this work as the larger as the whole, we first draw attention to it. We've drawn the attention to the situation by using our voice and amplifying. Then we have the opportunity to then use our voice, use our words, use our intentions to set a whole new cause in motion, to then begin working together to co-create that which we wish to see, that which we wish to experience in our lives, that which we wish to experience as the community. We then have the opportunity to co-create a world that works for everyone and all of creation. But first, we have to see that the world as it currently stands is not working for everybody. We can't just deny that. We can't just turn a blind eye to that. That's being tone deaf. That's being insensitive. That's being non-compassionate. And what we are called to be, the high idea that is calling us forward, is to be the power and the presence of love, to be and to create a world that works for everyone in all of creation. In order to create a world that works for everyone in all of creation, we have to then be speaking to the high idea, to the high vision of what it is that we see. Give voice to that as well. It's a both and. It's not an either or. It's a both and. So we use our voice to call forward and to speak the vision into existence, into reality. And so this is the vision of Centers for Spiritual Living. This is called our global vision. And I want to share that with you now because I would invite all of you to take this in and to breathe it in and to feel it and begin to express it and to put it out. Give it life, breathe life into it as we read this, as I share this with you. A world that works for everyone. We envision a world in which every person lives in alignment with his or her highest spiritual principle, emphasizing unity with God and connection with each other. A world in which individually and collectively we are called to a higher state of consciousness and action. We envision all people, all beings, and all life as expressions of God. We envision humanity awakening to its spiritual magnificence and discovering the creative power of thought, a world where every person discovers his or her own personal power and the ability to create an individual life that works within a world that works for everyone. We envision a world in which we live and grow as one global family that respects and honors the interconnectedness of all life. A world where this kinship with all life prospers, connects through the guidance of spiritual wisdom and experience. We envision a world where personal responsibility joins with social conscience in every area of the political, corporate, academic, and social sectors, providing sustainable structures to further the emerging global consciousness. We envision a world where each person has enough food, a home, and a sense of belonging, a world of peace and harmony, enfranchisement and justice. We envision a world in which resources are valued, cared for, and grown, and where there is generous and continuous sharing of these resources. We envision a worldwide culture in which forgiveness, whether for errors, injustices, or debts, is the norm. And we envision a world which has renewed its emphasis on beauty, nature, and love through the resurgence of creativity, art, and aesthetics. We envision a world that works for everyone and for all of creation. So when we are mindfully doing this work, we have the opportunity and the responsibility to not only speak truth to power, but also to speak the vision, to speak the high idea into being. It is a both and. It is a both and. And mindful speech comes also from mindful listening. You cannot have one without the other. We have to be mindful in how we hear one another. We have to be mindful how we listen to one another. We have to be mindful as to how we listen to the still small voice within. We have the opportunity to practice mindful listening, to turn within and to hear the word of God speak, to hear the still small voice that is forever speaking, that is forever guiding, that is forever making itself known if we are but still enough to listen. If we are silent enough to listen. Silent and listen have the same exact letters, they're just rearranged and reconfigured. And so this is where a place where silence is of use. The silence to listen for the guidance. The silence to be intentional in our opening and expansion. The intention to learn more, the intention to understand, comes in the silence. But make no mistake, in these times, silence, being silent, not using our voice mindfully, not speaking out mindfully, not speaking out intentionally, not speaking out at all, just being silent is complicitness and complacency. We have the responsibility to use our voice, to use our word, to speak. There are some folks who say that, oh, well, I don't want to speak. I don't want to say anything because, I might offend somebody, or I might harm somebody, or I might not say the right thing, or I just don't know what to say. That's where the sacred listening comes in, where you go into the silence. And when we speak from that silent place, that stillness inside, the connection, the mindfulness, being mindfully in the presence, then it is not you that is speaking. It is the spirit within. It is the divine within you that is speaking. It is not your small ego self. It's not your small idea that is speaking. It is the high idea. It is the high truth that is then speaking. We get so scared as to what other people might think, or, oh, if they engage, or, right? But, that's not the way we go about this. One with the divine is a majority. When we anchor into the truth of who we are, what are we afraid of? There is nothing to fear. And will we make mistakes? Sure. But then, like I said last week, we learn from them. Those then become opportunities for growth. They become opportunities to learn. Sometimes we say, oh, well, I'm not going to say anything because I want to give somebody else a platform. I'm going to give somebody else the opportunity to say something. First of all, you have to have a platform for somebody to say something on your platform. If you don't have a platform, you being silent doesn't make a difference. If you being silent thinks you're creating a space or a vacuum for somebody else to fill, that doesn't make a difference. So that silence is detrimental. That silence feels good. Oh, well, I'm giving somebody else the space. No. We have the opportunity and the responsibility to amplify the voices that are already present, to amplify the ideas that are already present, to amplify, to recognize the leadership of our BIPOC brothers and sisters and siblings, recognize the leadership, and amplify the message. You don't have to know what you individually would say in a situation. You have to be willing to amplify, to lift up, to raise up, to lift every voice. That is something we can do. Whether you have a platform or it's around the dinner table or it's on Facebook or wherever, you have a voice. You have a responsibility. We have that responsibility to envision a world that works for everyone and to bring it forward. Being silent about it doesn't do anything. It doesn't bring it forward. It's not creative if we're silent. We're just sitting on our meditation cushion doing nothing. Speaking is action. Silence is also an action. Perhaps it's an action that does not advance the vision, the high idea. Audre Lorde says this: I have come to believe over and over again what is most important to me must be spoken, must be verbal and shared, even at the risk of having it bruised or misunderstood. And Harvey Milk said, hope is never silent. Hope, hope, hope is never silent. That it speaks. Hope speaks. Hope radiates. Hope gets out in front and is present, and hope just leads the way. Hope is never silent. Hope speaks to the vision. Hope speaks to the high idea. Hope brings people together. Hope lifts and amplifies. Hope is never silent. Hope lends itself to mindful speech, bringing forth what we say to ourselves, what we create for ourselves, bringing forth that which we wish to build with others, bringing forth that which we wish to speak into our world, what we wish to speak into existence, what we wish to speak into our community. It is hope that brings that forward. It is hope. So today, and this week, I invite you to find your voice. I invite you to speak that which you wish to experience into existence, to breathe life into it, to give it life, to give it voice. Use your voice to amplify it. Use your voice to amplify the vision of a world that works for everyone in all of creation. Use your voice to bring attention to what is going on. Use your voice to raise the conversation. Use your voice to raise the consciousness. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared. Because when we are mindfully in the presence, as I mentioned, it is not I, but it is the I am within that speaks. It is the dominion of the divine within. It is the government and governance of the divine within that speaks. I simply step out of the way and allow my voice to be used by the one life, the one love, the one power, the one presence that is all life. And rest assured that when the high idea is clear, the choices that we make are easy. When the high idea is clear, when we are connected with the one life, when we are connected with Source, the decisions and the choices that we make are easy. Because we are either choosing to move toward the high idea, or we're choosing the status quo. And when we're aligned, that high idea, that high vision calls us forward. And so we breathe in and we allow. We listen for the word of God speak. And then we amplify. We amplify. And in so doing, we take one step closer to creating a world that works for everyone and all of creation. And so it is. So I invite you to join me in consciousness now. Recognizing that there simply is just this one life, this one presence, this infinite and eternal source, the isness, the allness, the fullness, the one power, the one presence. It is the totality of being, and yet it is so much more. I of my own self cannot even begin to wrap my head around it, wrap my mind around it, wrap my thoughts around it, because it is the ineffable. It is so much greater than I could even possibly begin to imagine with my limited self. And yet I too am the unlimited. I too am infinite potentiality. I too am infinite possibility, because there is only this one life, and it lives, moves, breathes, and has this being in, through, and as me. That I am one with it. It is the very who of who I am. I am that I am. I am the great I that I am. And I live fully in this. I live fully from this awareness, and this conscious awareness of this power, this presence that lives itself as me. That I am a divine emanation and impartation of this one life. I am a beautiful, perfect demonstration of this one love, this one infinite intelligence, this one creator. Therefore, I know that I am the co-creator of my own personal experiences, and I co-create with my brothers, sisters, and siblings, and spirit itself. We co-create a world that we wish to experience, that we wish to live in, that we are the co-creators of this. And so I recognize here and now that it is our collective responsibility to change our thought, to change our word, to change our action, to deconstruct that which has been before, and to build something anew. We are not reforming it. We are not reconfiguring it. We are not redecorating the living room. It is not about reformation or reconfiguration. It is a deconstruction of old ideas, old false ideas, old false beliefs, patterns that no longer serve in the race consciousness, the collective unconsciousness of humanity. It is these things that we set down now. And speaking this word, I call forth the high idea, I call forth the high vision, and I call it forth from within and speak it without. I recognize that there is just this one life expressing itself infinitely and perfectly. Therefore, I recognize each individualized expression of this one life has enough food, has shelter, has water. I recognize that each human being is fully immersed and fully embraced in equity and inclusion. That each belongs here and now, because each is the sacred of the divine. Each is the sacred life. Therefore, I know that each one's physical body, mental capacity, spiritual expression is whole, perfect, and complete. That it is maintained and sustained by the one life that is all life. I know that the physical body temple of each is holy and sacred, and therefore I know that there are new perfect systems in place, that this physical body can be taken care of, that it can be cared for, that it can be nurtured and nourished, that it can be restored to perfect health, that is universal for all because it is a universal right. I recognize that each one is able and capable and has the right and the ability and the systems around to support the divine unfoldment of their personal call on their life, their purpose, their divine purpose. That there are systems and structures now coming forth, already here and present now that support this high idea, that support a loving community in Riverside and in our country and around the world, that support mental health, that support families being together, that support freedom of movement, that support shelter, that support a life that thrives. I know that this is already occurring. We simply let fall away those systems that don't serve anymore. We set our eyes on the high idea. We set our mind on the high idea. We speak our word, amplifying the high idea. And it is already done. It is made manifest here and now. So I give thanks for that which already is, thanks for that which is yet becoming. I give thanks for the sacred yes of each person here in our beloved community, Riverside Center for Spiritual Living, to their commitment to being a clear transparency for the divine, their willingness to be an avenue of awareness, their willingness to speak their word into existence. I'm so grateful for that which we live, that which we love, that which we honor this day. And so I release this word into the law, knowing that it is done. I let it be. And so it is.
Love